That's dedication at its finest, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, so I just saw a question on the chat about if the new Zoom link is the same every week. So it won't be. So I will be talking about that in the introduction to this session. So maybe we'll wait until a few people come in so that they don't miss that as well. But I'll answer that question in a sec.
So we're all from the UK participants.
There are a few that are not in the UK actually. We've gotten a few from Nigeria, surprisingly, which is quite nice. But most people are from the UK. I'm just going to reiterate what I said at the start. Just welcome to the Boost Your Productivity workshop as part of the Community Leadership Academy. We're just going to wait maybe one more minute to let people in. But like I said, if you'd like to put your camera on and on your name, write your name, your preferred pronouns, and the organization that you are from. All right, I think I'm going to start. Yeah. So, hi everyone, I hope everyone is okay. Welcome to the Boost Your Productivity workshop. I'm just going to do a little bit of an introduction and about a few things that I've sent in the emails from yesterday. So, as you've seen in the email update, we will now have separate Zoom links for each session. So what that means from now on is that you can use the Zoom links in the calendar invites or that we already sent previously, or you can use the ones that are in the future email reminders that we send. So disregard the one that we sent at the first on the first mass email, just use the ones on the calendar invite and future reminder emails. And then on an update with WhatsApp, if you haven't completed that form already, Banner will put it in the chat at some point and you can send that in. It takes maybe like 1 minute to complete. We'll be using WhatsApp to connect and for you guys to network with each other. I think it'll be a great way for outside of these sessions for you guys to help each other and also for us to share resources. We'll be making that chat within the next few days, so just keep an eye out for that. Yeah, and if you have any questions within this call, please either put them in the chat or we'll answer them after the workshop. In terms of etiquette, we recommend that if you're in a noisy space, you can just move to a quieter space, and if not, you can just mute and maybe unmute when you have a question. We encourage you to turn your cameras on only if you feel comfortable enough to, because it's not a strict requirement. And we request that you mute your microphone whilst the facilitator is speaking. And like we said with Frank, so he wouldn't mind that when there'll be times in the workshop where you guys will be able to unmute yourselves and talk, but he will let you know when to do that. So I'm going to introduce our facilitator today. His name is Frank. He is a time management coach, and he'll be sharing how to efficiently and effectively manage your responsibilities to achieve your aims. Like I said, there'll be a copy and slides that will be shared after this recording. After this recording will probably be on Friday. So yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Noami. Yeah, so welcome everyone, Thomas, Anthony, Clara, Tamana, Helen, Ramzan, and everyone else. My name's Frank. I'm a time management trainer and I help people, corporate professionals, also leaders. I help them to maximize the impact of their time so they can get more done in less time, free up more time, make more impact, etc. I was really happy to accept the invitation today because we have a very special group. We're all, you all have one thing in common. You have taken initiative to do something to make this world a better place. And I'm really happy to support that. I also know it's not always easy. I know many of you also have part-time jobs next to what you're doing, maybe also families. That means having a lot of your plate, juggling a lot of things. That's where time management really comes into place. So let me share a slide. I'm not such a hero when it comes to technique, but I should be able to do this. Here it is. Okay, so here are some common challenges. You have too much to do. There's never enough time. Communication overload. Not enough time at work, even though you might be working long hours. Can also be really hard to recharge, to be present with your loved ones when there's so much to do. And this all can leave you feeling stressed, tired, burned out of control. And I'm sure many of you will recognize these things. What we want instead, and what I will try to give you in this hour that we're having. Let me see. Yeah. So what we want is to make a bigger impact at work, efficiently and effectively, so you can work less and still achieve the same outcomes or even better ones. I want to be minimizing busy work, freeing up time, optimizing communication and meetings, get more peace of mind, be able to be home in time, to recharge the batteries and to spend your time with the people and the things that make your heart sing, basically. So what I can do is I could try to squeeze in as much tools and strategies into this session, in this 1 hour, as I can. But what I would really like to do instead is, just make you use this time to make you more aware, of how you're using your time, so you can get more intentional about how you want to use your time. And of course, I will also be giving you some tools and strategies to do that. So the first thing that I'd like to discuss, and that's really at the root of productivity and time management, so how do you determine what to prioritize when everything seems important? I'm sure we all have this many things, activities, things are screaming for our attention, and then how to decide what to do. Many people are just reactive and they respond to the things that are screaming the loudest. But these are not necessarily the things that are making the biggest impact with your time. So how do we do that? Basically, the goal of time management is not to get things done. You all often hear with productivity advice, okay, when you do this, you can get more things done. I don't want you to get more things done. I want you to maximize the impact of your time. So we want to maximize doing the high impact stuff, high impact activities, doing those as efficiently as possible and minimize the rest. Yeah, now the question is, how do you determine what actions are really worth your time? What's the best use of your time? Which activities are high impact or not? That basically all comes down to understanding how your actions are related to certain outcomes. Let me get back to this slide. Yeah, so you're working in a company, and you have a certain role in that company, and within that role, you're performing certain actions. Ideally, we want to focus on really impactful actions that work towards achieving objectives that actually serve the mission and vision of the company. I don't want this to make this too theoretical. So let me give you an example. A friend of mine, he is running his charity organization, and his mission is to create a sense of belongingness and togetherness for homeless people around Christmas. So that's the vision of his company, or mission. I'm always confused by the two. So this mission is, he wants to have these people experience togetherness around Christmas. Then these objectives are much more concrete, they are more specific. You could also call them goals. So his goal was to organize a feast meal for these homeless people at Christmas Day for 200 homeless people. So he had this huge table where 200 people could sit at this huge table, and there were musicians walking on the table, etc. So he had this very clear picture in his mind of what success looks like for him. And now when you have this very clear picture of what success looks like, now you can also measure all your activities against the outcomes you want to produce. Make sense? So what I would like to do now is to see if we can all share in the chat, just in one sentence, what is the vision or the mission of your company, of your charity organization? What is it what you want to do? What's the vision of or mission of your company? And then we're going to see if we can add some more specificity to that. So please go to the chat room and just write down in one sentence, what is it that your charity organization is doing or trying to accomplish? And if you don't know it, if you don't have that level of clarity, just type in something that's at the level of clarity you're at now. Just create your first bad version. So Ziska, reduce homelessness and the impact of it, bring creatives together, women and girls live lives free of violence, educate the general public about the natural world, bring together support ICEA people in Bristol, create a fair Suffolk for all to live, work and visit, to boost self-esteem of every child that comes out war probably. So these are all great initiatives. It's really inspiring to see that. Yeah, great. So now the hard part. Could you type in at least one goal, specific goal? So something that's measurable and also timed for something that you are going to want to achieve this year. So if you can see if you can use numbers. This is often harder than the first part, but see if you can come up with something.
Related to work or like your?
No, yeah, in relation to the vision of your charity. So what's a measurable goal that your charity has for this year? Can be a certain number of people helped, or I don't know. And it could perfectly be that you don't have that. That you don't have such goals. So recruit 20 new volunteers this year. Deliver six racial equality training sessions. These are all very measurable things. Provide advocacy support for 100 women facing violence issues. Great. Yeah. So if you don't have that clear now, I challenge you to get clear on this, because it really help you to make progress visible, and also to make it easy for you to prioritize which activities you're going to focus on. Okay, that's great. So the mission is the dream, and the outcomes is what success looks like exactly, what supports that vision. So you can also do this for your part-time job if you have one. Just ask yourself the question, what outcomes am I supposed to produce in my current role? And see if you can make that as specific as possible. Because now, if you have that, now we can assess the value of your actions. So let me go back to the slides. Well, okay, never mind. So basically, can you see my screen? Okay, so basically, if you have something that you have on your to-do list, something in your calendar, ask two questions. How will this activity or this meeting or this thing, how will this help me move forward towards your specific objective? And also, what would really happen if I wouldn't get this done? And I also already said I'm not going want to make this too theoretical. So let's practice a little bit in real life. Please, can you open your calendars on your phone or on your computer? So just look at your calendar and find the very next meeting that is in your calendar. So probably tomorrow something. Just find the next meeting, and then looking at this question, like how is this serving the mission and the outcomes of my organization? Can you rate this meeting on a scale of 1 to 10? So 10 is this is perfectly well, very impactful in producing these goals, these outcomes for my organization, and 1 is totally not impactful at all. So rate this next meeting, and please type your number into the chat. Don't feel bad if it's really low. 8, 7, 9. A 10. Great. So a few 7s, a 5, another 10. Yeah. So basically, if this number is not an 8 or higher, I would recommend just really questioning this activity, and see if you can find a more impactful way to spend your time. So if it's 7, it's probably quite okay, but it could be better. 6 is really too low. So see for all the lower things, everything below 8, see if you can perhaps eliminate it completely, postpone it, move it forward towards some other time, or if also maybe you can just allocate a little less time to that. So if it's a 2-hour meeting, maybe you can even get it done in 1 hour or even half an hour. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about that? You can just unmute if you want to. No? Okay, so now next challenge, look at your calendar for the whole of next week and find your lowest value meeting, the lowest value meeting you can find. And again, if you have that, please rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 and type it into the chat to your lowest rated meeting for next week. There's 1 5 coming in. An 8, okay, that's good. A 5 is also good because it means there's room to free up time. Another 5, a 10, wow. Yeah, so the whole point of this exercise is just to become aware of how are the things that I'm doing with my time, how are they related to this picture of success that I'm trying to realize. That's the whole point. So if you find anything that's a little bit low value, see if you can eliminate it, put it off, or do it in less time. And the same, you can do the same with your to-dos. I'm curious, who here is using an app for tracking tasks and to-dos? If you can just, the people who have their camera on, raise your hands if you're using an app. Okay, who's using pen and paper? Also, yeah. Who's having most of the things in his head? Still. Okay. So what I would like to show you is what it would look like if you could use an app. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
can see
here
the screen.
I'm in Todoist, and this is one I'm using. You can also use the principles that I'm going to show you with other apps. Todoist, it's a free app, so I'm not paying anything for this. And what I really like, I've been searching for a long time for a system how I can stay focused on the right things, on the most impactful activities. So when you're in the inbox, you can click the plus and you can type in a new task. What is it, 8? And you can assign a level of priority. So P1 is the highest priority level. You can also do P2 or P3. So the P3 things, they're blue. And then what I do in filters and labels, I've created 3 filters. So I can find the priority levels back quickly. So for example, if I click later, there are all my tasks that are blue, I can find there. Now, what I do once a week, I go through this whole list of blue things and I select the things that I want to be focusing on next week. So for example, task 1, I right click and I make it orange, priority level 2. And let's do the same for a few more. Orange, this whole project, and orange. Now, when I go to filters and labels and I click on this week, I'll see all my orange things there. Now, daily, I have a small routine. It just takes me 30 seconds per day. I go to this list and then I right click and make the things red that I want to be focusing on the next day. So that when I get to work next day, I go to today and I see the things that I want to be focusing on that day. And it's looking very simple, and it is, but that's the whole point. You want to have a system that's so simple that it doesn't take too much maintenance. But whenever a new task comes up, you can put it into the system and assign the right priority level, deprioritize things quickly, and stay focused on the right tasks. So, for example, if I have so suddenly remember that I have to do something, then I add a task, and maybe it's a really urgent. So then as I assign priority level 1, it goes straight to my red folder, task 9. And I think, okay, now this is a bit too much for today. I can very simply click it back to priority level 2. I think this session is being recorded. So if this is something you want to set up, you can just watch it back, because otherwise perhaps it's a bit too much information for now. To create a filter, just click the plus, and in the inbox you can also organize that with a board and group and sort it by priority. Let's make it more. So here I have all my priority 1, priority 2, priority 3 tasks. Okay. Who has any questions about this? So either you are very bright people or I am explaining things extraordinarily well.
Actually,
Okay.
I have one
Yeah.
question. Sorry, is there like an app on your phone that you can install as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Aska just
it
asked that.
synchronizes with desktop and phone. So whenever I have an idea, it's also a very nice way to just empty your head and stay clear, because everything I have something, even if it's very low value, I sometimes even assign priority level 4, so I can find it back if I want to, but it's not actually that's something I'm actually going to do. So yeah, so you can just have the phone and enter everything into it, and it synchronizes.
This is a great idea. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
should I just jump in, Frank? No, it's really great. I think I seen this some time ago, but then I was kind of I've been using Google Tasks, and is there a way to import your existing list onto here, or do you now, because this seems like a really good system, it's more in depth, and don't want to start afresh. Is it possible to?
Ooh, I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
I don't know if you can convert that into to do is honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
But do you have, is it like, do you have a huge chunk of tasks in there, or is it because maybe if you
Because I
just have,
think I have about 10 group of like work, home,
Yeah.
social enterprise, volunteering, and
Yeah.
and it just, and then like your shopping list, weekly shopping list, you know that, and
Yeah.
so it's important that rather than having to recreate it again, yeah, it doesn't sound much, but it probably take another hour or something out of my time.
Yeah, and I think you will win back that time because it's such a simple system to maintain this. And add projects. In your case, you can also add projects. For example, you said volunteering. You can add that category and then create your tasks in there. Okay. Let me stop sharing.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah, sure.
So at work we use kind of like Basecamp, and that's quite complex, and they got all the project and everything. So this is just very much more simple, kind of like everyday use rather than for professional.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I guess with some people, I'm just thinking how advanced, because you can really use this as a paper as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the thinking process that is really important. Decide what is priority, what's urgent, and what needs to be done. I think that is the key from my understanding.
Yeah. So what you can do to make this. I'm sorry, I'm going to share again. Something that's important to add. It's also possible when you create a task, for example, project, and assign priority level 2, for example, you can also add subtasks to that project to make more layers. So maybe phase 1, phase 2, and then within these phases you can also create subtasks like task 1, etc. So you can make it as complicated, as complex as you want to. Okay. Okay. Then in the same way, you can also set up your inbox. I'm not going to show that right now, but if you're receiving like a really high volume of emails every day, then I recommend also setting up different levels of priority. So for example, just high priority and lower priority, and just before you start responding to emails, just filtering them quickly into the right folders and then working on high priority first. Mostly if you're just receiving a ton of emails and have to cannot spend your time on everything anyway. Yeah, any more questions at this point? No. So for those who who swear by using pen and paper, I've done that a lot too, and it can work, but there's so many benefits to using an app like this. Just this ability to prioritize quickly, but also just not staring at this full list of things that you have to do at some point or not have to do at some point. I used to have like multiple A4 sheets written full of all kinds of things, and I even lost my list one day and I found it back maybe 6 months later, and I realized most of these things I didn't do, and nothing happened. I just forgot about them. So with a system like this, that could never happen. So these things would get filtered out anyway. So they're also not taking up mental energy. Okay, then now we have clarity on what we want to achieve, what success looks like, and we have a system of we have a way of prioritizing our meetings, our to-dos. So how do we stay focused on the high value things during the chaos of our days and of our weeks? How can we keep that level of intentionality and clarity? So Just like I said, many people just go into their day and they react, they respond to whatever is happening, the emails they're getting, the requests they're getting, maybe the to-dos that are currently in their head. We already set up a few systems now, but I would like to add a few routines to your days and to your week, just to help you to stay focused on the right things and keep up to date with everything. So again, I invite you to open your calendar and just supposing you are working Monday through Friday, just create a small routine at the end of your workday. I don't know what time that is for you. Maybe it's 5 p.m., maybe it's 6. I hope it's not 8, but maybe it is. So just at the end of your workday, create a 5-minute routine. And then you can call it plan next day. It's just 5 minutes, and make it recurring on Sunday through Thursday. So each day before your workday. So recurring 5 minutes appointments, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, at the end of the day. And in the description, write down a few things. Just write down, pick priorities for next day. And then deprioritize for tomorrow. Then block time for your priorities. And optimize your calendar. I'm going to show you what I mean with all these things. So pick your priorities, deprioritize, block time for priorities, and optimize your calendar. So if you've done it right, you've got a recurring appointment now, 5 minutes at the end of your workday, every day before your workdays. I'm sorry, before your workdays. Then my next slide. Okay, so here we have 2 schedules. And the first one is what it's looking like for most people. So you have like, you maybe start your day with some email messages, then you have a meeting, that you can try to do some high impact work, but something gets in between, you do some lower value things, then you try to do higher impact again, then you're getting distracted by emails again, and all the day long you're multitasking, switching tasks, responding to urgencies, getting distracted. And in the end, you're wasting a lot of energy, mental resources, and a lot of time. Because I like to compare it with a race car. So let's imagine you have a race car on a racetrack. It's starting from standing still, and it takes some time to pick up momentum. But when you have momentum, it's easy to keep going. Then switching tasks is like a sharp turn in the track. So when you're switching tasks, you're losing all that momentum. You have to pick up speed again. So the key in freeing up a lot of energy and time is to batch things together as much as possible. So doing all your emails in one block, batching some similar tasks together, maybe administrative work or working on a certain project. So then you get the that's when you get the second high performance schedule. You see, this is, of course, it's probably a bit utopian, but the idea is just to batch things together. So ideally you could start your day with a few hours of undisturbed high impact work, only then doing all of your email and messages, all your messages. So also WhatsApp, Teams, Slack, email, whatever. Then maybe some time for some low value work that needs to get done. Then also a scheduled lunch break, maybe batching your meetings together, a block for prioritizing. I know this is probably a bit unrealistic. I know, but it's the idea that I want to convey. So try to batch things together as much as possible. So when we just created this routine, plan your next day, see if you can have a look at your calendar in that way. So I'll share another screen here. So if I go to a calendar, let's see, I can zoom out. Okay, this is an example of a day, a time block day. So I start with a focus routine. At the end, I have this plan next day, plus some buffer space. Then I have deep work, I have a group meeting, I'm doing my email, I have a lunch break, and a few more meetings. So when you're planning your next day, see if you can optimize your days a little bit. So for example, here's some blank space. And our brains don't like these small blocks where you can hardly go deep on anything. So perhaps I can move these email messages up a bit. Oh, this is not my edit. Yeah, okay. My lunch break too. Okay, now if here I have a larger chunk of space that I can use to go a little deeper into my tasks. Here, again, ideally, I would want this white space and this white space to merge. So perhaps this one-on-one meeting, I can see if I can move that to this time block. And now it's looking a lot better already. So here we have this big space where I can really focus deeply on something that we didn't have before. So that's what I mean with optimizing your days. Any questions about this? If you have a question, just unmute. Okay. What's next?
Actually, sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Would you say that Google Calendar is like, I don't know if you use that on the regular,
Yeah.
do you think it's the best one to use, or is there different, like, is there another calendar app that you feel is better?
I like Google Calendar, but honestly, I'm much more interested in the principles behind this than in the tool that you're using.
Okay.
It's the same with Todoist. I'm also not such a great expert on tools, because I don't really care what tool you're using, because you can, as long as you can time block, then you can use it.
Mm.
I like Google Calendar. You can also set some reminders to remind you of certain things, and these different colors also help me. But I'm sure you can do that in many other calendar apps as well.
Mm. Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. So what I also, this is really big for most people that I'm coaching. The main distraction that I'm hearing the most about is communication in the workplace. So if the people who have their cameras on, who recognizes this getting communication overload, all these meetings, messages, emails, interruptions, who recognizes that? Yeah. Really important tool or tactic. See if you can experiment for the next few days with only processing your emails and messages, maybe twice per day, maybe even once per day, if you really have to, 3 times per day, and see what happens. So most people are afraid to do that, afraid they're missing out on things, afraid people will be mad with them. I've never had that with any of my clients. Nothing happens. You can just do it usually. So just try it out. Batch your email messaging into 1 or 2 blocks per day. Block it also in your calendar, just like I just show you in this example in my calendar. Just block time and don't touch any emails for the rest of the day. Also turn off notifications, nothing. If it's really urgent, people will not send you an email. They will call you anyway. Yeah, so try that out. Then add one more small routine at the start of your day, of every work day. So go back to your calendar. When you're starting your work day, maybe 8 a.m., 9 a.m., just create a 5 minutes routine, repeat it on every work day, and call it Start with Focus. So 5 minutes start of the workday. It is called start with focus. Repeat it on all work days. And then at a description, write down to review your actions and your calendar for the day. Ask yourself, how will today help me move forward towards? And then fill in your own specific objective that you're trying to accomplish. So how will today help me move forward towards that objective? And what obstacles might come up today? And how could I deal with that? So again, the point is to be intentional about what you're doing with your time. Just intention, that's the word. So start with focus. And I also recommend to add a weekly routine, probably at the end of your Friday. You can do that later if you want to, where you'll be reviewing your whole next week and already see if some how you can optimize your time, minimize the busy work, maximize your impact. Any questions? Cool. Then, okay, now we have this perfectly blocked calendar, and then this happens. You have this plan of, okay, I've done this ideal routine, and then, oh man, urgencies, putting out fires, ad hoc meeting, maybe action steps for next for your meetings, and your whole plans go to waste. It happens, and it happens a lot. So usually that's when people tell me, okay, I've tried time blocking, but it didn't work because things always happen, and you can already know that things are going to happen. So how do we deal with that? What I recommend, first of all, we already know that unexpected things are expected. So I always include some buffer time into my planning, at least half an hour per day, maybe longer. So you can already take care of some things that are coming up. What I also recommend is sort of framework. First, I'd like to ask who here sometimes gets requests to do something that you really didn't plan to do. If you can raise your hand. So yeah, so it happens to almost all of us. So how do you deal with that? What most people do, they get a request, and because that's the thing that's screaming the loudest, they give it their attention. So first of all, when you get a request to do something, first apply the framework of asking how it relates to your goals, to your objectives, the things that you want to accomplish. So how does this help me produce that outcome that I want to produce? And if it doesn't really help you, then see if you can perhaps say no or do it later, or find some other way of some other person to do it, or maybe do it a little with a lower quality standard. But also feel free, if you can, if you're in the position to say no, just to say no to a few things. Because if you can say no to more things, you can also say yes to more things that really matter. So you can't do anything anyway, so we'd better focus our attention on the things that are making the biggest impact. Then, if it's really important, just see if you can get into the habit of asking for due dates. So if it's really important, doesn't really mean it's urgent and you should do it right now. So if someone perhaps at your day job, at your part-time job, your boss comes to you and say, okay, here I want you to do this, and it's an important task, then you can say, okay, when is the due date? When is the deadline for this? Just that simple question can make a big difference. Just ask, when's the deadline for this? And maybe you'll say, oh, never mind, somewhere next week. And then you know it's not really urgent. Maybe he will say, oh, as soon as possible. Then you can make an offer, say, okay, what if I get this done on Thursday? Would that work for you? And perhaps he says yes, that will work, or you make a counter offer. but now you can get more information about what the real urgency is of that important task. So when you get a request, assess the importance of the task, the impact, the value of the task, and assess the urgency by setting a due date. Any questions about getting requests? Okay. So we've covered quite a bit already. The last thing I wanted to discuss with you, actually I wanted to tell a story. I think it's about 10 years ago. I was running my own business. It was a business organizing and producing concerts, and I was running that pretty much all by myself. So I was doing the work of 3, maybe 4 people. I was doing the production. I was doing finance. I was in marketing and promotion department. I was doing administration, catering, whatever, everything. I did everything, and actually I was pretty efficient and effective. So I managed to get it done. I managed to get everything done, and the business was quite successful, but it was not sustainable. That was the problem. So I got myself into a really pretty bad burnout, and it took me, I think, at least 2 years to really get over it. In the meantime, I hadn't delegated anything in all those years running my business to anyone. No one had any clue what I was doing. So while I was recovering from burnout, my business was died. So this was a huge lesson for me. Like, there's always more work to do. So at the end of the day, there was still a lot of work to do. So I just kept working. And then I had to sleep, but I woke up and there was more work to do, and there was always more work to do. And I was burning the candle at all sides. And at some point after that, just only when I burned out, I realized that sometimes it may feel very counterintuitive, but sometimes just taking a step back is the most productive thing you can do. Because in the end, it cost me not only a lot of time, 2 years, but also it cost me my business. It cost me it cost me my health. I couldn't be the parent or husband I wanted to be because I was really burned out. And I really, that's the point, the trigger point in my life that really got me interested in optimizing time. Because optimizing time is not about getting more things done only. It's not about making more impact with your time and less time alone. It's also about doing that sustainably. So I'm just curious, who here has at some point experienced this feeling of burnout, or feeling you're close to burnout, if you're comfortable sharing? Yeah, and probably a lot of people with their cameras turned off also. So just ask yourself this question, just reflect for a minute. Are you regularly taking, like, perhaps a whole weekend off without doing any work? You don't need to answer that, but just reflect on that for a minute. And if you're not, are you sometimes taking like full day off with no work at all? Or at least one night per week where you're not doing anything work related? Completely switched off. So I'm not, of course, I don't know what's the result of this reflection in your head right now. But I would like to ask you once again just to open your calendars. And we're going to block off some time just for you to have fun, to recharge, maybe a date night with your partner, or a a weekend off. I don't know. Just first pick one of these three. Are you going to schedule a weekend off, a day off, or a night off? Just pick one of the three. And then just find a time in your calendar and block it. Just block it there right now. Okay, so when you've blocked that, just go to this calendar event and take a few notes. Just brainstorm 3 to 5 ideas of what you could be doing in that time block for you to take care of your own health and happiness. Okay, so I'm curious, can we all just type into the chat one of these ideas of what you want to be doing in that time, just as an inspiration for all of us? Just go to the chat, go for a swim, yeah, reading for fun, go surf, oh, I like that, cinema, massage, walk the dog, play football, sleep, that's a good one. Nice dinner. Yeah, I like that. So
Sorry, Frank. Can
sure.
I ask this, because I'm very I'm aware that we do all this stuff, and I think a lot of us fall into similar trap, especially me. You know, I have my calendar tonight to do meditation, but I know tomorrow we have a workshop, so now it doesn't seem like I can do that. And I think it's just having the ability to be really disciplined and commit to it. You know, it's similar to kind of like the new year, I'm going to join the gym, paid membership, and then after a month it dies.
Yeah, so
a lot of that is very much a mental kind of like, it's similar to the atomic habit. You have to slowly build up to it. And I struggle as well, to be honest, kind of like, okay, I've done all that, I have that task and that time and all that, but sticking to it is the most challenging thing, I think. Especially, I have 2 jobs, I have the children, the housework and everything, juggling it, and then I just end up like, you know, burnout. And I think it's learning also to say no to some of the projects that have been happening and some volunteering, and then I just kind of like, okay, I just need to get rid of that. Although it's very important and it has a lot of purpose, but it doesn't do me good. So I think just trying to work in my head, I think, that discipline to really able to commit to that time that I have asked myself.
Yeah, that's really great question. Thanks. It's of course it's about habits, just like you were saying. I don't think we need a lot of discipline. We just need to be skillful enough in building habits into our life. So I have a little small example. I played the piano pretty well. And there are some people in my life that I've been teaching, and one of them, he said, okay, I really want to get really good at playing the piano. I'm going to practice at least 1 hour per day. So it was pretty ambitious because he has a busy job and family and stuff. So he started out, maybe the first 2 days he managed to do it. Then something came up at his work. He was late home. and almost every day it was very, very hard for him to commit to this 1 hour. So after a few weeks, he had hardly touched the piano at all because he wasn't able to find that hour that he committed to. So then we changed his mindset a little bit. I said, okay, now for the next week, try to you are going to play the piano every day without any exception at all, but only play for a minimum of 2 minutes. Only 2 minutes. So if you practice for 2 minutes, then you keep your streak, then keep your habit streak. So of course, when you're sitting down at the piano, you're playing for 2 minutes, you're probably going to continue because 2 minutes is very small, but it's just getting into the habit of getting started with something. That's really important. So there were most of the days he was practicing like half an hour, sometimes longer. Then there were some days that were really crazy. He could only do 2 minutes, but he kept reinforcing the habit even on such days. So in the end, he was playing like a lot more than he was doing when he committed to 1 hour per day. So what I'm trying to illustrate in your case with this meditation habit, just commit to meditate every day, but have like these mini habits for the days that you don't have time. For example, when you're really busy or when you're ill, just commit to taking few deep breaths with full attention, for example. And now when you just miss once, it's not such a problem. You can pick up the habit back again the next day. But when you miss twice, then it's already the start of a new bad habit of not doing it. So just keep doing your habit of meditation, and for the days it's very busy, just do it anyway, but do it very short in a way that you can still do it.
That sounds like really good advice, and that tiny atomic kind of a step does work. And I think for me, in my context, because we do mindfulness facilitating as well, and so we integrate that into our day activity. So I'm washing the dishes, but that can be a time to wash dishes, but also doing mindful meditation as well, or just walking. And yes, so that's my switch to able to accommodate two things at the same time.
Nice. Thanks for this the input. So we have a few minutes more to answer some of your questions around time management or productivity in general. So feel free.
You can write on the chat if you don't want to speak. You can write on the chat and we can read it out for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just curious how long you ran your business for, how long you did it alone.
This when I burnt out. Yeah, it was 5 years. And actually I was not spending so much time even doing it because I was so efficient and so effective. I was maybe only working 50 hours per week, but it was so intense. I was working with so much focus, and it was costing so much mental energy that it was still not sustainable. So yeah.
And it didn't occur to you maybe like to get an employee or something and just delegate some tasks to them over 5 years?
At some point I realized that it was not sustainable, and then it was maybe already a bit too late to delegate, because at that point it would take a larger time investment to train someone to do the things that I was doing than to keep doing them myself. So I didn't feel like I had enough time and mental resources to do that. So it was like an impossible situation I felt myself in. So I always recommend to already, and of course I made that mistake, but to think about, is it sustainable what I'm going to do just before you're on the edge of burnout already? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I've been reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I know is a very old book, but I feel like it's still really relevant. And I would just recommend it to everyone, and it does share a lot about like how to manage your time effectively, and just to kind of like have this oversight of your life, so that you're not just managing your life, you're leading your life as well. And I think that's really important, and it's been helping me a lot. So I would just recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, it's a great one. Also, I think it's in that book, The Story of Sharpening the Saw. Is that right? That's a story of that's really relevant to what I just discussed about this burnout stuff. There's a man walking in the forest, and he comes across another man who is feverishly trying to saw down a tree. But this saw is not really sharp, so he's really sweating. And the other man says, "Wow, you look exhausted. What's up?" And he says, "Yeah, I've been trying to saw down this tree for 6 hours now, but it's such hard work." So the other guy says, "Okay, so why don't you go to the tool shop and sharpen the saw?" He said, "No, I don't have time to sharpen the saw because I'm way too busy sawing down the tree." That's the thing. We should take care of sharpening our saws, replenishing our mental and physical energy, so that we can bring our A game to work the next day. Otherwise, you'll get into this downward spiral. You'll be tired, so you will need more time to get your work done because your level of focus will be lower. At the end of the day, you have to continue working for longer because you didn't finish everything. So you have less time to sleep and rest and recharge. So the next day it will be even worse. You go down and down again. So what we want instead is to invert that into an upward spiral. So you take care of your mental energy, physical energy. You make sure to recharge. So the next day you're fresh. You can get your work done more efficiently, with more focus, more sharpness. So you can finish your work sooner, and you have more time again to relax and recharge. That's the whole ideal, I think.
What was the name of the book, just so people missed it?
Was it 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Are there any more questions for Frank? Vanna, can you see in the chat if there was any from before? Because I haven't been monitoring it.
Yeah, so one person is saying that this is all the time going from one thing to the other constantly. So hard just focus. So some advice here. First of all, it can already help to plan your days, just to know when you're going to do what. That can already help. If you really have a hard time to focus on one thing, I recommend 2 things. First is to minimize distractions proactively. Just make a list of the things that distract you. And then I know many people benefit a lot from the Pomodoro technique. I'm sure some of you have heard of that. The basic idea is you set an intention for what you're going to focus on, and you limit the time you're going to do it. So for example, I'm going to focus on this task for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to take a 5 minutes break. It's really helpful to try that out. There's an app that you can also use to block distractions on your phone while you're doing these 20 minutes, for example. It's called Forest. I think it's either free or it's like £2 or something. So the key things: decide what you're going to focus on, decide for how long, block all possible distractions, and then focus for that amount of time, and then take a rest. And over time, you'll be able to extend that period of focus time. So maybe in the beginning, some people have big trouble doing that. 5 minutes is already the limit. And then you can build it out, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, at some point, an hour. So yeah, recommend trying that out. I'll write down Pomodoro in the chat.
Thank you so much for that. Just conscious of time, I'm going to stop questions, but Frank said that he was happy for us to send his details. So we'll be sending that over on the follow-up email if you have any further questions. So I want you to say thank you to Frank. That was an amazing presentation. I even took some notes on my time management as well. And thank you so much. Like I said, oh, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. But yeah, if you have any questions for him, we'll be sending his he'll be sending his email on sorry, my mind's gone blank. We'll be sending his email on the follow-up email. Frank, you can leave whenever. We're just going to be doing talking about the Community Leadership Academy now. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, can I say goodbye?
Oh, of course, sorry.
Yeah, so thanks everyone. Emmanuel Ease just found out I'm a whistling champion. That's true. I'm a world champion of whistling. But
Oh,
thanks,
wow.
thanks everyone. I really enjoyed this. If you feel like you want to go a little deeper into this, you can, through the contact details you'll find in the slideshow, you can reach out to me and we can set up some kind of free consultation where we go a little deeper into your own situation. That being said, thanks again. Thanks, Noamin and Bana. Thanks for inviting me. And I wish you all the best with your awesome organizations and your great missions. So take care and perhaps we'll talk soon.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Frank.
much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
I would just like to talk about the feedback form. Bana just sent the link on the chat. If you'd like to give us feedback, it was really helpful for us. So if you can do that whilst I talk a little bit about some reminders. So we'll be doing a groups mentoring session on the 1st of March. That's the next session. It will be on 1st of March at 4 p.m. on Zoom again. I was told by someone that the calendar links still have the same link, so we'll look into that because it shouldn't be the case, but if so, we'll be sending reminders so you can use that link to come onto the Zoom session. Yeah, so with that session, we'll be building on the teaching from this workshop to support you in this learning, and it will be a great chance for you guys to communicate with each other and network also. So I would recommend attending that session. I also want to remind you guys about the coaching opportunity we talked about in the introduction session. The deadline is on the 3rd of March. So we'll be sending his application out again. If you've forgotten it or if your emails, or there's too many emails, we'll send it again on the follow-up email so you can have it there. And also a reminder for you guys to sign up to the social media opportunities that we have. So we're looking for someone to do International Women's Day on the 8th of March. This is a great opportunity for you guys to expand your reach with your organization. Again, we'll be sending that email, we'll be sending that link to sign up in the follow-up email as well. So it's all in one place. And yeah, when you have finished the feedback form, and if you don't have any questions for us, you're free to leave whenever. But if you do have any questions, we'll be staying on until 5:15 just to answer any questions that you might have. And if anyone has any questions, you can write it on the chat as well.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm still on the road. So is there,
yes.
will you be sending the feedback form?
So we sent it on the chat. Can you access the chat on your phone? No. Okay, we'll send. Don't worry, we can send. We'll send it in the follow-up email tomorrow. No worries.
Thank you.
No worries. Bye, Marsha.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Was it Tamana? Did you have a question?
Yeah, about the social media thing. I emailed you a couple of weeks ago about International Women's Day. I don't know if you received it or not.
Yes,
I didn't get a response.
I received it. Yes, so I've sent it over to our comms team. One of who's Eve, but she's on annual leave for maybe like until next week. So she'll review it she'll review your request and then she'll get back to you.
Okay, I just wanted to know if it was like the kind of thing you were looking for, or if it was something a little bit different.
I feel like Eve is the best person to answer that question, so I don't want to overstep her. But in my eyes, it was I liked it, but just want to check with Eve first. Does anyone else have any questions? I know the Zoom link thing might be a little bit confusing, but what I would say is just use the Zoom link for the reminders that we will be sending, because we'll be sending weekly reminders and a reminder the day before.
No, Emin, just to say, I haven't been getting the calendar invites.
Oh, so did you get the mass email that we sent like after you were enrolled?
Possibly not, no.
Oh, so that would, what I will do is I can send you that email which has the calendar invites.
Great, thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, no problem.
But have you been getting all the other emails?
Yeah, I've been getting like the reminder emails of
okay, that means you're on the email list. That's fine.
No calendar invites.
Okay, I can do that for you.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
I'm gonna have to go now, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Helen.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Does anyone else have any questions? You're free to leave if you don't have any questions, but just wanna check.
Sorry, yeah, this is Jane.
Hi,
Also, I have
Jane.
not been getting the calendar invite. Is it possible to send that to me?
Sure. Have you been getting all the other emails though, just to check?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'll also send you the calendar invite email. It might just be lost in your email somewhere, like, you know.
Probably.
But I'll still send it again, just so it's at the top.
Definitely. Thank you.
No worries. Is there any question in the chat banner? I don't think so, but just checking.
Keep forgetting I'm on mute, but no, I've looked through. There isn't.
Cool.
So I presume everyone here still left in the call has questions for us, right? That they want to share verbally?
They might have just left it.
Oh, maybe the typing or
Ramzan, do you have a question? No. Okay, great.
Oh, okay, no.
Perfect. Ms. Sachs, do you have a question? Jane, do you have a question? Okay, no, maybe.
No. Okay, can I leave now? Is it?
Yeah, no, yeah.